The finale, 10 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
Great finale.
Good deal. All right.
Overall
Awesome.
season.
Okay.
Overall season for me, and people are going to come at me for saying this, but it's a 7 out of 10.
That's fine.
People are going to
Cool.
say it's a 9 out of 10. It's 10 out of 10. It's the greatest show ever. Listen, I've been on the front lines of the greatest shows ever. I've got a lot of TV hour watching in my lifetime. I've been there with Lost. I've been there with Game of Thrones, Sopranos, The Office, all these shows that were supposedly the greatest when they started, and then they kind of had a crash landing. I've been there. So because of that, I know the red flags to look out for when a show starts to look like it's starting to fall apart a little bit. So, for example, in this season, the reason why I give it a 7 was it wasn't that it wasn't great. It was the story moved at such a glacier pace that I'm just wanting to get the story for it, but we start to do all these little detours and these interpersonal relationships and all that stuff. And yes, it might be important, but we can do that and move the story forward. If you only have 10 episodes and you're moving, it makes me think that you don't have a lot of story, or you're not confident in your story, or you really don't know where you're going. So you're kind of stalling for time. That's what I think. And you're more interested in putting these little hidden clues and stuff for the people that are all on the forums and stuff to put these pieces together. That's what it makes me feel like, because I've seen it before. Lost, Spider could tell you too. He just finished watching a few years ago again. Back in the day when it was on live, they would tell you, we have a plan. We know exactly where we're going.
They had no plan.
They had no plan. In fact, if you watch the documentary, it just came out. In fact, I watched it over the break. It's called Getting Lost or something. It's on HBO Max or something.
Getting Lost.
Something. It's a great documentary. But in the documentary, they even tell you, we had no clue where we were going. Yeah, we know that. We're not dumb. We saw that. You didn't have a clue.
Okay.
So when you have 10 episodes versus if you were on network and you had 22 episodes, you still had to keep the story. You had to keep the story going long enough to keep people's interest. And you also, especially in the late 2000s, started having mid-season finales where you had to come up with 2 finales essentially per season and keep people interested in answered questions and keep them going. So it was a lot more work doing those 22 episodes and really fleshing out a story versus 10 when you don't have any time constraints. You have 10 episodes, you have a way shorter season to tell the story in. So it should be easier, but if you're moving that slow, it makes me feel like you don't have a story or you don't know where you're going. So that's why I gave it a 7 out of 10, because there was one particular story that focused on I don't remember the lady's name, the boss of the severed floor, the woman. And it showed a little bit. It was a 30-minute episode. All the other episodes are 40 minutes, 50 minutes an hour. And it was just focused on her. And I'm like, why didn't you add a B story to it that could have expended another 20 minutes or so? And then you could also move the story forward, because you don't have the story. But anyway, not saying it's a bad TV show. I like it. The finale was great. That was the best part of the whole season. And they answered a lot of questions.